So it's the end of the year and you've just got yourself a new VR headset. Congratulations! Or you just want to know what the best games starting 2020 are. Well, have no fear, Whackman is here, bringing you the top 10 virtual reality games you can buy starting 2020. Also remember to watch until the end of the video to see the winner of the second giveaway. To enter, simply like the video, comment which game you want, and subscribe to the channel for awesome VR content. So let's get straight into it. Number 10. Trover Saves the Universe. Now, I'm not a big fan of platformers in VR, but this is the funniest platformer game I have ever played. From the co-creator of Rick and Morty, Justin Roiland, who seems to have been unleashed to use his messed up sense of humor and sadistic way, which I love. In Trover Saves the Universe, an evil alien named Glorkon has stolen your cute little dogs and looks to place them in his eye sockets to gain the unstoppable power of the Mangekyou Sharingan. Oh, sorry, wrong show. But yeah, he does it to get unimaginable power. So the concept of the story is simple. Stop the bad guys, rescue the dogs, and save the universe. This game has elements of breaking the fourth wall, kind of like Deadpool, since it knows that it's a game and will make jokes and commentary about it. For example, if you're taking too long on a puzzle, it will say, "Should we check online?" This really did make me chuckle. And then I checked online.
Oh my god, that was so funny!
The writing in the game is fantastic. It's not an awe-inspiring tale, but the comedic timing will just keep you laughing throughout. Mainly considering Justin Roiland has done most of the voices himself. The gameplay is simple yet fun. It has platforming, action combat and puzzles, which has been implemented really well in VR. You are a Chairopian, although that's a really original name for a being sitting in a chair, controlling Trover throughout the game, which is a game mechanic in itself. The story lasts around 4 to 5 hours, depending on how good you are with puzzles. And overall, I would say Trover Saves the Universe is a fun and fantastic game that anyone with a sense of humor should try out. Number 9. Defector. The name's man, Whackman. Did you ever want to be James Bond in real life? Or Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible? Well, the closest you can get is Defector in VR. Defector's story is based around hunting down defecting agents in a spy action thriller. Although, I wouldn't play this game for the story itself, since it's not really consistent with what it started as to what it ends as. I'm not even sure why. Now, without going into spoilers, it becomes a sci-fi towards the end, but despite that, Defector puts his finger in every pie. So if you want to experience what VR can really do, then play Defector, as it will have you rock climbing, fist fighting, shooting down enemies, and jumping towards a moving plane in mid-air. There are also events where you need to outwit the characters in conversation, which is more fun than you think, as you need to manipulate them into doing what you want. On hand, you will have their dossier to guide you on the best way to approach the particular person, and there are right and wrong answers. The story lasts around 3 to 4 hours, but it does have branching story endings. I always enjoy being able to replay and choose different outcomes. However, the developers tried to give us an easy way of doing this by providing us with a quality of life feature, allowing us to select the level where the story branched off to let us pick a different outcome. However, this does kind of backfire since you don't really need to replay everything. Instead, you can just select the level and find out what happened. Nevertheless, the game is still fun and does give the feeling of taking part in an epic Mission Impossible or Bond movie. Number 8. Beat Saber. If you haven't heard about Beat Saber by now, God knows where you've been. This seems to be the game that everybody loves because of its simplicity and pure enjoyment. Basically, music or a song will be playing, when whilst it's playing, boxes will come towards you to the beat of the music. You are holding 2 lightsabers, so guess what you will do with those sabers? That's right, cut those baskets down. It's basically a game that makes you feel like a Jedi badass, as well as giving you an intense workout. One of the main reasons this is on my list, despite not having any sort of story, is because of the custom songs you can use. You can make levels with your own custom songs, but I generally prefer to download the ones created by the talented community we have online. The choice of songs you can find online is absolutely huge, from the Avengers theme to even Mortal Kombat, as well as many others. Also, the 90 degrees mode for the game has finally been released, which makes the game even more intense and fun to play. Not only that, there are also plans for multiplayer being added to the game, which should be coming soonish. I'm looking forward to what else they can come out with, considering Beat Games, the developers behind Beat Saber, have been acquired by Facebook, so may also have a large financial backing for it. The game is so easy to pick up and play that anyone can get into it, but so difficult to master that you will need to spend time and energy to actually get good. Plus, you lose so much weight since an intense workout. Therefore, I highly recommend Beat Saber, but make sure you download your own custom songs for even more enjoyment. Number 7. Fallout 4 VR. The full-fledged game Fallout 4 VR allows you to step into the post-apocalyptic city of Boston, something we never originally thought was possible. When you see the death claw 2 inches from your face just before he slashes you down, it's frightening to say the least. The gunplay is fun and exciting, as well as throwing explosives. The change in the VR version to the regular Fallout 4 is that when you go into VATS, it doesn't freeze time but instead slows it down substantially, basically making you feel like you've invoked the Speed Force from any of my DC geeks. You have your Pip-Boy on your wrist, and to access it you actually have to lift up your arm, as you would do in real life, which feels great. It is a little hard to use, but you get used to it. Unfortunately, however, the game doesn't actually include any of the DLCs, but this can be overcome if you already have bought the DLCs for Fallout 4 previously. I'm sure you can find plenty of videos showing you how. It's not that difficult. The issue with the game is its power requirement. Fallout 4 is one of the most power-hungry games I've seen, and the minimum requirements I would say is around a 1070 or a 2060 GPU. If you want to play on higher graphics, however, I think a 1660 Ti would suffice perfectly. Another thing to mention is if you have a Rift, then because of the ASW technology, it makes the VR games even easier for your GPU to run. Furthermore, you can also install mods for Fallout 4 VR, obviously making the fun endless. I've seen mods that allow you to have lightsabers, including the whizzing sound that comes with you swinging them, as well as many other mods. Overall, despite the minor bugs here and there, you could still spend hours and hours in Fallout 4 VR. Number 6. Budget cuts. Have you ever wondered how Neo actually got out of the office in the Matrix? And if you could do a better job? Well, here's your chance. In budget cuts, you're about to get terminated, and you need to make your escape. You're able to choose the method of escape either silently, like a robot ninja, or like a badass scissors-throwing samurai. You are armed with a portal gun, patent pending, that you can use to look through to the other side. But be warned that the other side can see you too. You can also use this to step through to get instantly to that location, allowing you to go through solid floors or walls, as long as you have a gap where you can point your gun. The developers have literally made the movement into an awesome game mechanic. The game in essence is a puzzle stealth game that can induce situations of panic when you get caught out. Budget Cuts has been designed so well for VR that you won't get motion sickness due to the teleportation movement. However, what you will need to do is kneel, get in a crawling position, keep your head down when crawling through the air ducts, hide behind desks by actually crouching yourself, as there is no button to crouch and all the movement action needs to be performed by you. The story is around 4 to 5 hours depending on how you play and how good you are, but because of the varied playstyles you could have multiple run-throughs. Overall, Budget Cuts is a must-have for any VR owner. But wait a second, Budget Cuts 2 has also released and is quite similar to the first installment, but with a lot more action. You're no longer stuck in the office but will be on the trains and rooftops, kind of like in Matrix Reloaded. Seems like a theme here, In this game, you will also be able to use a bow, making the combat a lot more exciting. However, the only problem with the sequel is the length of the story, which comes to around 3 hours. And other than the combat, the game itself is quite similar to the first Budget Cuts. So if you're getting the first game, you'll probably also want to get the second one, which is why I've mentioned it here. Number 5. No Man's Sky VR. After the free update from Hello Games, No Man's Sky is now in virtual reality. This is not just a gimmick, it is the full game. After all the free updates that Hello Games have been coming out with, No Man's Sky is a completely different game from when it launched. You can build bases, ride animals, go on mission with friends, play with non-VR players, and even travel to different galaxies. If you love grinding for items and building up your money to be able to purchase the best spaceships and the best items for your base, then you will love No Man's Sky. In VR, No Man's Sky is absolutely amazing. When you first enter the solar system and see the giant planet in front of you, you can't help but feel at awe. I have spent hours in the game, launching my ship into space, running around in a cave filled with fluorescent plants and finding multiple new species. However, one thing to note is that in VR it's a little hard to control the ship when you're trying to fight multiple space pirates. But that's because there's so much movement that your hands get tired. Though that's what you get in VR, a realistic experience. If you wanted a game in VR where you can spend hours upon hours exploring, building, relaxing, then this is it. Even after the hours I've spent in it, there is still loads to do. Hello Games have done a great job of implementing VR into the game, much better than a lot of other big game developers. Borderlands 2. I've highly recommended getting No Man's Sky to play in VR. Number 4. Skyrim VR. Become the Dovahkiin in Skyrim VR. This is the full game including all of the DLCs. I do have to warn you on one thing though. Once you start playing Skyrim VR, you probably won't be able to play any other VR game for a while, since it will cover mostly everything that you would want to experience in VR. You can use your hands to summon a fireball like the Hadouken, or shoot lightning from your hands. You could roleplay as an X-Men character. Trust me, I've done this. You hold swords in your hand and shields, and when you need to block, you actually have to lift up your hand to be able to block an incoming attack. If you select these settings, you can also experience realistic bow and arrow firing. Become Legolas in VR. When you see a dragon for the first time, you will be at awe at its beauty and majesty. Since this is Skyrim, you can also use mods. With mods, you can make an awesome game unbelievable. What do I mean by that? Have you ever wanted to use the shouts with your own voice? Well, now you can. With particular mods, you can use the famous words of the Dragonborn, Fusroda, and see the enemies fly off the cliff. There are also mods that give you extra spells or weapons, even the Kamehameha, and much more. Even if you have spent multiple hours in Skyrim previously, considering a million versions of the same game came out, you will still find new and exciting things in VR. It's just a completely different and must-have experience. And think about it. Is there another game where you also get to be a werewolf and a vampire lord in VR? Now, we are getting into serious territory. The top 3 games starting 2020. Number 3. Stormland. Stormland is developed by Insomniac Games, who are the same developers for Marvel's Spider-Man, so expectations were very high to say the least. For the most part, these expectations have been met. It is an open world, first-person shooter that has been built from the ground up for VR. You can climb over any obstacle with your own 2 hands, fly across the clouds like an android Superman. You may look a little silly doing it for the people around you, but you will feel awesome when you're in virtual reality. If you're unsatisfied with that, you can be an android Batman with a grappling hook feature, whizzing you up like the Metal Knight. The movement in the game is absolutely fantastic and feels amazing when running around, dodging fire, and in movement in general. This is how VR games should do movement. The story is basic, where you are an android searching for his friends during a ferocious robot revolution. However, it's not the story that will keep you coming back, but rather than the game mechanics and how fun they can be. You can even bring a friend, if you have any, to play co-op with you, but that's after you have completed the first hour or so just remember that. There is also progression of the character, as you can also upgrade your abilities to climb faster, jump higher, and much more. The only downside I see is that shooting does get a little repetitive, but that's mainly because the enemies aren't really that difficult to beat. The game lasts around 5 to 6 hours, but once you have finished the game, you can still carry on playing, similar to like how you would do with Diablo or Borderlands, to try and get better weapons, etc. However, to try and overcome some of the repetitiveness of the game, Insomniac Games have added another feature where every 7 days the map will change its layout to mix things up a little. I think this is a great feature to add, and I wish other games did this too, so you just don't fall in a routine where you're just going through the motions. Now visually, the game is absolutely stunning, there is no doubt about it. The enemy robots look awesome, and when you climb to the top of the high points and look at the horizon, you will feel like you're really there. I suggest having a fan on to give you an even more authentic feel. Now overall, this game may not have gone to the heights that some people wanted it to, but it did get very close. 3rd place to be exact. So I would still recommend this game to any VR owner. You will really love it. So, we're at the final top 2. Who do you think got 2nd place? Number 2. Boneworks. The fun just got real. Boneworks has been developed by the great team at Stress Level 0, who also created the ominous Duck Season. You play as a guy called Ford working for a massive corporation known as Monaghan Industries, who are developing an artificial intelligence operating system called Myth OS, when everything goes wrong. However, the game's main selling point is not the story but the physics, as it's like none ever seen before. The physics system in the game is revolutionary and ahead of its time. I honestly don't know how they have even done this. Everything you see has realistic physics, including your body. Honestly, anything you think you could do in real life, you can do in the game. From using 2 guns to counter the recoil, it's not useful but cool to do, to giving someone the rock bottom. There are some technical issues that the developers are working on right now, and this game is marketed to the experienced VR players, as some people have experienced motion sickness due to some of the movement. There is around a 7-hour story, which is strange and intriguing, and the levels are mainly puzzle based, with sprinkles of combat. However, the most fun you will have is in the sandbox mode. This is where you will be able to murder to your heart's content, or just abuse the unsuspecting enemies. You can use all the weapons in the game, ranging from guns, swords, and even the awesome balloon gun that allows you to make anything float, even yourself. You can spot hordes of enemies and take them down like a boss with the slow time feature. Remember that scene from The Matrix? That can be you. Arena mode has also been added for those that want more action, where a set amount of enemies keep spawning in waves. This adds another exciting element to the game. The amount of fun you can have in Boneworks is only limited by your imagination. The physics system in the game is so good that you can tell it has been in development for 3 years, and it is a system that every game should strive for, which is why Boneworks takes our number 2 spot. Just before we get to our number 1, I want to go through some honorable mentions. First up is Borderlands 2 VR. This game could not be included in the top 10 mainly because of the developer's lazy attitude when it came to porting it to PC VR. The game itself is fantastic, despite not currently having all the DLCs, but Borderlands 2 in VR feels amazing. The laziness, however, is unforgivable. Other than on the Rift or Rift S, it doesn't really work properly with any other headsets. You will have countless issues when trying to play it on other headsets. The price is extremely high, coming in at a full price non-VR title, which is absolutely ridiculous for the quality that has been provided. The fact that you can't even throw the grenades with your own arm movement is just ridiculous. The only reason I'm even giving it an honorable mention, even after ripping on it for a while, is because it is Borderlands at the end of the day. The game is just so much fun, and in VR it's even more. The gunplay feels great, even though you can't actually hold weapons with 2 hands. I'm not really bitter. The intense action and dramatic moments when you're trying to just get that kill to revive you is just so much more enjoyable in VR. The monsters and enemies look great and huge up close and personal. I just wish they could have done a better job on porting it to PC VR. So if you have a Rift or Rift S and you don't mind the issues, I say get the game on a sale. Our second honorable mention is Five Nights at Freddy's VR, Help Wanted. Firstly, I need to warn you, don't play this game if you are at risk of heart attacks, because even if you're not, this can cause it. In Five Nights at Freddy's, the premise is simple and you have been hired as a nighttime security guard at a Chuck E. Cheese knockoff, probably to make some extra cash for your poor family. But little did you know that at midnight, the animatronics come to life and wander the halls with some bad intentions in mind. And each of the mini games you need to last through to 6 AM. To aid you, you will have at your disposal the security cameras to see where the killer robots are, which just adds to the tension. And a limited power supply that will be drained when you switch on the lights or oddly close the door. So it's a puzzle strategy game of sorts, as you will need to work out when you think the best time to switch the lights on is, and the best time to protect yourself by closing the door. The panic you feel will stop you from thinking straight, as you will be terrified of the pitch black area directly next to you, feeling like anything can jump out at you at any moment. The game doesn't hold your hand either, so you basically have to figure out everything yourself, which again adds to the fear and panic. The atmosphere that is set when you're in-game is fantastic, but the real star is the sound that sets the dark, gritty and terrifying mood. Every little noise will make you want to jump. The regular game without the DLCs is 4 Five Nights at Freddy's games, with each having 4 chapters to get through. I won't be going through the other chapters since I want you to experience this for yourself, but I highly recommend you get Five Nights at Freddy's VR Help Wanted if you love horror games or just like to pee your pants. So, what is the best game you can get to start 2020 off? Number 1. Asgard's Wrath. If you wanted a AAA game in VR, then this is your dream come true. Asgard's Wrath is set in Norse mythology, and not the Marvel's adaptation of Norse mythology, but instead it has taken its own interpretation. The first thing you will notice about Asgard's Wrath is that it looks absolutely gorgeous. Everything from the enemies to the environment. Have you ever wanted to see the Rainbow Bridge in person? Well, now you can. However, the game is much more than just beautiful. This is an action-adventure RPG where you will be working with Loki as he takes you under his wing. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but the around 25 hours main story is really enjoyable and keeps you engaged throughout. This is the first made from ground up VR game I've seen with such a long and good story. Not only that, there is so much side content giving you another potentially 20 hours more content. The only thing I will say is that it does start off a little slow, so you will need to give it a chance. If you do, then you will really reap the rewards of your patience. The gameplay is quite novel. You are a divine being that can possess mortals. So guess what you will do? Yep, that's right. You will possess those unwitting mortal heroes and play through their stories to reach their goals. Once you complete that hero story, you get rewarded with a particular stone that Loki needs for a plan he is being mysterious about. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. Another one of your abilities will be transforming animals into followers by transforming them into half man and half beast. Man, bear, pig, anyone? There are 10 different animal companions that you can take control of, that you will come across. They all have varied combat styles and different abilities that you will need to use to be able to solve puzzles. In reality, this game in its core is a slasher game, but a fantastic one at that. The combat is designed on the basis of parrying enemy attacks and countering. However, it gets a little bit more complicated than that, with special attacks, rage meters and runic armor, making sure the combat doesn't get stale during the long story, since you will always be unlocking new abilities and attacks. There is a large puzzle element in the game which sometimes gets quite challenging, especially where you will need to pick and choose the correct follower to use at the right time, and then switch to another one to solve the puzzle. There is a large crafting element for all those people that love an RPG element, kind of like Zelda. Overall, for me, this game has come out of nowhere and somehow destroyed the competition. This is not just a fantastic VR game, this is a top contender for all games in general. I can imagine a lot of people without VR headsets feeling envious not being able to play this game. Therefore, Asgard's Wrath truly deserves the number 1 spot on this list. Well, that's all folks. If you enjoyed the video, then give it a thumbs up. But before we forget, let's announce the second winner of the giveaway. And the winner is the merch! Winning a copy of Batman Arkham VR. Congratulations! To claim your prize, please contact me on my Discord, which is in the description below. Remember guys, the giveaway is still on for the other 8 games. So like the video, subscribe to the channel and put in the comments which one of these games you want and why. Again, this is just a small channel, so chances of your winning are extremely high. Thanks for watching, have a great day, see you next time.